Hey, welcome to my video on the top things to do in Lviv. In no particular order, although you may wish to put them in order in the comments below. These are top 10 things I think you should do when in Lviv. They're not the top 10 things to do, they're just the top 10 things I think you should do, if that makes sense. So there's going to be things in this list that you think shouldn't be in this list, and there's going to be things that I've obviously excluded from the list. But obviously in the comments below, for people visiting Lviv, a wonderful city in western Ukraine, I want you to tell me what's your top 10, or maybe something I've missed, or maybe if you potentially agree with some of them, or you disagree with the others. So top 10 things to do in Lviv. Let's go. One of the things you must do when in Lviv is visit one of the many markets. Now, this is one of the various book markets to be found in Lviv, and I must say there's dozens and dozens of different types of markets. There's fruit markets, there's meat markets, there's well, you name it, they've got a market for it. Personally, I like the book markets because it's quite chilled out, very peaceful. They're not just trying to push things in your face, but all of the markets are worth having a look at. This is one of the things you must do when in Lviv. Check out the various markets. Things to do when you're in Lviv is climb to the top of the high castle. This actually used to be an old castle. While you're climbing up to the top, you'll see ruins of what the old fortifications are. Wikipedia will probably tell you a little bit more because this is a very brief video, so go on there and have a look, see what it's all about. But this is a definite must if you want to sort of get perspective on sort of dynamics of Lviv and how big the city is. It gives you insight into just where you are geographically, but definitely in the top 10. I have to say, I think this is the number one thing to do when you first arrive. Not the number one thing to do here, but the number one thing to do when you arrive, as in the first thing you must do. But worth the walk and a good bit of exercise. Definitely one of the top things to do when in Lviv is visit this place. It's the Lviv National Opera. Phenomenally beautiful building, as you can see, and what they put on inside is equally as beautiful. You can see a ballet or an opera, in some cases for less than $10. It's incredibly good value. Some nights even half that price. Or if you're particularly lazy and you're not feeling very cultured, then obviously pose for the obligatory photo like this. Smile. admire one of the many statues and monuments in Lviv, this has to be one of the must things to do in Lviv. Did you know there are over 1,000 lions spread across Lviv? You thought the UK had a lot of lions? Think again. This city alone has over 1,000. I dare you to try and count at least 100. Actually, you'll find it quite easy because there's a lion around every single corner, almost anyway.
I mainly go to the Arcadia, and I mainly speak in English. And now?
One of the top things to do, in my opinion, in Lviv is to sit in one of the many coffee shops or cafes. Lviv has a real cafe culture, a little bit like Paris or even Italy. It's the closest thing you might get to Italy or France, and I urge you, sit in a cafe, absorb the atmosphere, and watch the people moving by. Have a look. Highly recommend. I'm doing it.
So here we are at the Arsenal Ribs. This is actually the third time I've been here in the 3 trips I've had at Lviv. I've got my beer, I've got my bib on, I've got my hands, because here they don't give you knives and forks. And if you can actually hear me over the racket, because there's a lot of people here, it's going to be a good meal. I'm normally averse to meat. Maybe once every 3 weeks I eat meat. This is a good reason to eat meat. This is one of the 10 reasons and the 10 things to do in Lviv. Cheers.
Well, the carnivore in me is satisfied. I haven't eaten meat in literally 4 weeks. that was my time to meet me, and how satisfying is that? That is incredibly satisfying. Best ribs ever in the world. Okay, I've been to 87 countries. I'm trying to go to all of them. So far, they're the best ribs I've ever tasted. Third time I've ever been here. So it's not just a one-off fluke. Third time I've been here. Every time it doesn't disappoint. This has to be one of the things you do when you're in Lviv. Amazing.
Cuando te parió y te quitó un corazón no te dio.
One of the top things to do when in Lviv is to visit one of the parks. In the parks, you can find amazing monuments like this, sort of throwback to the sort of Soviet era. This one is actually protected because I think they were in the process of attempting to tear it down because of the tensions with Russia right now. Thankfully, they haven't torn it down. But in the many parks, honestly, you can get lost for hours. Some amazing things to see. One of my favorites actually is a massive cemetery towards the north of Lviv. This park is in the south of Lviv, very beautiful park. Just on the edge of it right now, but this monument really needs to be seen. Anyway.
Легенда оживает о том, что во Львове проживал когда-то дракон, который
One of the top things to do in Lviv is to visit one of the many restaurants in Lviv, this being the Italian Garden. It looks a little bit like Italy, but we're actually not in Italy, we're in Lviv. And what a beautiful setting it is. So I urge you, when in Lviv, visit some of the many, many restaurants, this being one of them.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be.
I can't say the food at the Italian Garden is any good because I haven't actually eaten here, but I have had the coffee, and the coffee is amazing. It's good Italian coffee. Highly recommend it. Just like most of Lviv, the coffee is fantastic. Whoa! Oh my god! I can't see. Whoa. It's ready.
Yeah. But wait 1 minute because cup is hot.
It's gonna be hot.
It's caramel on top of cup. You can eat it with your spoon and enjoy your coffee. Don't add sugar to coffee because it's sweet a bit.
Thank you. I can just about see. One of the number one things to do when in Lviv is to basically drink here. This has now become a chain because it's so popular. I think it originally started in Lviv, but it's called Drunk Cherry. There's some in Odessa, I think. There's some in Lviv. There's some in Kharkiv, but the original is here in Lviv. So correct me if I'm wrong, but when in Lviv, go to Drunk Cherry. You can see the crowd here. They're all basically drinking this cherry type wine. It's very alcoholic, it's very tasty, and it's a great way to start the evening. So let's go and try some Lviv Drunk Cherry wine, and let's get very merry. Hi. One?
Glass?
Yeah, one glass. It's okay. And then we put the cherries in.
It's okay.
That's it. So this is the drunk cherry liqueur wine. Cheers. And the price is 38. That's just over £1. It's about $1.25. It tastes good. It's very sweet, but it tastes very drinkable. You could drink a lot of this, and you could get very merry, very merry. Anyway, cheers. Or bit more, as they say.
Що фотографуємо? А ну донизу. Не знімаємо, кажу.
One of the other must-thing do's when you're in Lviv is to go to one of the secret bars. You just saw there the man telling me off the fact that I was filming because someone had just knocked on the door. He asked for the password. I was filming. basically, I think he said, stop filming, bugger off or something like that. But it's through that little archway, very close to the Drunken Cherry. There's a sort of secret bar. It's war themed. They don't like you filming in there, but word is out now. There's a big queue, but that's one of the must things you should do when in Lviv. Another must, just if you're into the Masonic weirdness and conspiracy theories, is this restaurant up here. It's called the world's most expensive restaurant. I think that's what it's called. I'll correct it in the comments here. It might not be called the world's most expensive, but it's full of Masonic symbolism. Masons don the walls. If you go into the toilet is lots and lots of dollar bills. Very beautiful place. The menu is basically 10 times the normal price, but there's this thing that they reduce the price by 90%. So the menu might say 1,000 for a drink, but in reality it's 100 for a drink, if that makes sense. And it's just up there. There's a nice view. But once again, they don't like you filming. When you walk in, there's a man in his little room, in an old-fashioned sort of place that he's kind of making bread and soup. He asks you for the password, and you have to give him the password. It changes all the time, but to be honest, the secret is to go with a local, because if you don't speak Ukrainian or Russian, they could turn you away. So the secret is to go with locals to all of these places. Don't waste your time on the tour groups. Find a local, and you will have fun discovering all these secret bars. That's one of the must things to do when in Lviv. One of the must things to do in Lviv when here, basically explore the side streets. This is one of the many side streets you will find in Lviv, and a hive of activity. Little restaurants at every little street. It's really is a booming town. One of my must-dos and a little bit of a tourist cliche is check out the Theatre of Beers. It's in this amazing place just on the main square. I think they call it Market Square, not Main Square, someone tells me, but Market Square. And inside, some live music by amazing brass band every single night, and they have some of the best beers you could possibly ever taste. I was here during the US presidential election campaign, and they had Hillary Clinton beer, they had Donald Trump beer, and guess what? The Donald Trump beer was the most popular beer. And the beer is always changing, so come here if you like your beer. One of the must-dos. My other must is you must check out all of the live music that is basically dotted around all the streets of Lviv. Every street corner has live music just like this. I can't really capture how much talent there is in this town on this very brief video, but this just gives you an insight into the music that you'll find on the streets. You have guitarists, you have classical musicians like this, you have singers. It is really incredible. So I urge you just sort of take a moment, check out all these guys, and remember to tip them. Yo, check out this apartment. This is costing me, I think, £18. Look at this. It's like I'm back in like a little old lady's house in England. Look, we've even got... It's amazing. Bit of Fergie action. Okay, even got keep calm, carry on. Gentleman rules. Lady rules. I got flowers. everything is British themed. And this is Lviv. Look at this. £18. Amazing. Honestly amazing. I could have got a hostel, but I got this. This is great. Honestly, this is fantastic. But yeah. Anyway, enjoy, guys. You have to love this yellow light. It's not the most flattering of lights, but one of the things I must stress when you're in Lviv is to check out one of the many wine bars. In the top 10 things to do in Lviv is to drink in one of the many wine bars and drink some of the fine wine. And all I can say is cheers to that. Cheers. That's a good Pinot Noir. It's very good. How was it?
Maybe I photo with you.
Сказати тільки, що на травах. На травах, а якщо ми скажемо, що з чого він зроблений,
I think outside better.
Okay, so no trip to Lviv is complete without going to one of these themed restaurants. This is one of the most popular themed restaurants in Lviv. It's the Lviv First Grill or something like that. But the thing about this restaurant is it's medieval themed. There's an executioner supposedly. He specializes in meat. However, for the vegetarians, there are vegetables on the menu, grilled vegetables, and also there's fish for the pescatarians. Highly recommend that. The thing about it, there's a dungeon you can go down into. I'm going to film that. I'm hoping someone does it because I don't know if they're going to do it, but I'm going to do it. So one of the must-dos when in Lviv is to visit this chap. Now apparently this guy is the man responsible for the word sadomasochism. He used to do a lot of sadistic things to himself, so much so that you can actually put your hands into his trousers and feel his tackle. That is probably one of the must things you must do in Lviv, feel the man's tackle. But when you go inside, it's a bit of a drinking experience, so I urge you to go inside. This is one of the top things you must do in Lviv. Let's go and have a look.
Я вас шмагаю, а ви кажете, я музик.
Я мазаки.
Ні, один раз сказав. Боже, що це за сексуальна машина?
Сильніше! Да ну що, давай! Давай! Давай!
Я в спортзал сходила.
The high castle is so good, I decided to come up here again, and it's a beautiful day. But sadly, you can see the pollution in the background, so it's a very non-windy day, which is good because you can actually hear me on the microphone this time. But I think it would be appropriate to say a little bit of Russian. So if I was to say Yakarov Verpin, how do I say Yakarov Verpin? No, I'm saying completely wrong. What I was trying to say is I'm the king of the world. There we go. There we go. I'm the king of the world on top of the high castle. top things to do in Ukraine is to better get involved in the history. Today, the history I'm getting involved in is sort of basically paying tribute to the people that fought so bravely in the Second World War. The Ukrainians lost a lot of people, and just get involved in as much history as possible, and try not to bump into people like I just did. This one. And definitely in one of the top things to do when in Lviv is to climb the Clocktower. Look at this view from up here. This is the Clocktower that's in the center of the market square, the main square. It costs 30 hryvnia to get up, which is just about $1.10, maybe $1.05. Really good climb, very steep stairs. If you're just scared of heights, not so good. But it does get a bit crowded up here, so I'm not going to just show you the amazing view. I'm going to show you the fact that there's a lot of people up here. It's well worth the climb. Everyone's super excited to be up here. And what an amazing day for it. To be honest, every day I've been here has been great. And look at the view. We've got the churches. It gives you an idea of just how big Lviv is. Always get to the highest point that you can possibly find when you're in a new city. And this is one of the highest. Obviously, excuse the disorientation. There's where the city, the castle gate is. So that's where we are earlier. But it's a great climb. Recommend. Definitely one of the top 10 things to do when in Lviv. I think I mentioned it when speaking of the parks, but this is not a park. This is Lviv's biggest cemetery, and it seems weird. Why would you want to visit a cemetery? But this is one of the biggest cemeteries I've ever been to. You may have been to one in Paris. You may have been to ones in New York, Washington, even in London. Maybe anywhere around the world. This one is phenomenally big, and it's incredibly impressive. There's no Jim Morrison buried here, but there's a lot of famous Ukrainian artists, poets, leaders. You could get lost, but it doesn't really matter who's buried here. It's the fact that it's an incredibly peaceful place. And I'm disturbing the peace right now by talking. So I'm just going to take it in, and I urge you to visit this place.
She's waiting for love to be realized. I'll send her my heart covered as a gift, and hope that she'll take it into her side.
This top 10 list might seem a little bit morbid, but it really isn't. One of the top things you must do when in Lviv is to visit one of the hundreds of churches. Precise figure, someone's going to tell me in the comments below, but every time I go into one of these churches, the Russian Orthodox people do it well. They're very awe-inspiring, they're nice, you can feel the spirituality there. But definitely check them out. Here's one of them. Amazing. Let's do that. Okay, and a lot of top 10 lists is this place, which is to be at the top of the roof in the Temple of Legion or something, name just here. Reality is, it's well overcrowded. It's actually not worth it. It's just basically a lot of tourists standing on a roof, and there's a car on the roof. There's a little guy here that people throw coins at. There's a sort of picture posing place up here. And that's pretty much it. So, not in the top 10. Definitely not in the top 10. An Englishman, an Irishman, and a Scotsman go into a bar. That's what happens these days. People don't talk to each other. They just go into a bar, they spend the whole time looking at their phones. It's kind of depressing, though. And that's my top things to do in Lviv. Honestly, guys, really appreciate the fact you've been watching. Glad that you made it this far. Thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed, click subscribe. That is if you liked it, of course. If you liked it, click like. If you disliked it, click dislike. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Many thanks.